Should I pray about the devil? Do I need to be aware of what he's doing? What does spiritual warfare even really mean? Let's maybe start tackling some of these questions in this video. Jesus said in Matthew 28:18, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." So if he has all the authority, shouldn't I just pray to him? Do I need to worry about the devil? Do I need to think about the devil? Is spiritual warfare even really a thing? I mean, Jesus already has all the victory, right? So do we even need to do any sort of warfare against the enemy? The truth is that actually Jesus did do battle with the devil. And he taught us to do the same thing, and he lived that way. In Matthew 6:13, in the Lord's Prayer, he said, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil." So right there, on kind of the basics of prayer, he's teaching us that in the very least, we need to be aware of the enemy and how he seeks to tempt us and how he seeks to cause us harm and cause evil in our lives, right? It's very interesting, though, that Jesus was aware of specific things that the devil wanted to do in his disciples' lives at different times. In Luke 22, verse 31 and 32, this is what it says. "Simon, Simon," so this is Jesus speaking to Peter, Simon Peter, "behold," or look, "Satan demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your faith might not fail. And when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers." So what Jesus told Peter here is Jesus was aware of something specific that the devil wanted to do against Peter's life, and he prayed accordingly, right? Very interestingly, too, Paul actually described a battle that he lost to the devil. 1 Thessalonians 2:8, he says that he wanted to come to the Thessalonians, I, Paul, again and again, but Satan hindered us. So clearly, the Apostle Paul wanted to visit the Thessalonian church to build them up, and the devil knew that that would be detrimental to his plans, the devil's plans. So he fought to prevent Paul from going there, and he was actually successful. So this does teach us that there is spiritual warfare, and that some of these battles can actually be lost. And it's actually something that people experience in the New Testament church, and it's in the Bible. Some battles were lost, some real battles were lost to the enemy, or at least in the short term, at least temporarily. But that's confusing, isn't it? How can Jesus have all the authority if we have to battle the enemy, and if we can even potentially lose battles to the enemy? And so let's address that a little bit. So Psalm 115 verse 16, I think, is a very clear description of the issue here. And it says this: "The heavens are the Lord's heavens, but the earth he has given to the children of man." So what he's saying here is that the heavenly realm, God is fully in charge of that. But on the earth, he has delegated a measure of authority to human beings. And human beings, in their actions and their agreements and what they say and do and think, they are bringing either the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of hell into earth. And we do have to wage war on the earth because there are people who want the devil here, whether they realize it or not. So we are in a battle. And the reason why we're in a battle here is because God has relegated some of the authority to humans. And therefore, the enemy is trying to take, more. He's trying to get his kingdom to increase by getting humans to give authority to him by agreeing with him, right? That's essentially what he did with Adam. Jesus conquered that authority back that Adam lost. But Paul addresses very clearly 1 Corinthians 15:20 verses 20 through 28. I'm not going to read that whole passage here because I'm trying to keep the video short. But Paul says very clearly there that though Jesus reigns, he does not have all things in subjection to him. And we just have to kind of look around the world, and it's very obvious that not all things are in subjection, in the sense that they're not in agreement with Jesus, right? So there is truly a clash of kingdoms. So there is a warfare, okay? So let's recap this a little bit. Jesus has all the authority, but he is not enforcing that authority. He has not made everything subject to him yet. Therefore, Jesus, in the Lord's Prayer, he instructed us to pray for the expansion of his kingdom. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, right? As humans who have real delegated authority on the earth, ask God's kingdom to come, then God's kingdom comes, because that's how God sovereignly chose to expand his kingdom on the earth, okay? And like Jesus taught us in the Lord's Prayer, and how he showed us in Luke 22, the passage that we just read about Jesus praying for Peter, one of the main activities of spiritual warfare is prayer, right? Paul also made the same point. So in Ephesians 6, Paul discusses spiritual warfare. And, you know, the passage of the armor of God is very famous, right? A lot of people know that. But I think one point that we miss a lot is that after describing the armor, Paul tells us what we should do with that armor in verse 18. And what is it that we should do with the armor? He says, praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. So a big aspect of spiritual warfare is prayer. Okay? So sometimes Bible studies over that passage get so caught up in identifying, oh, what's the belt and what's the, whatever, that we miss the point that you put on the armor, and then the battle that you do oftentimes is primarily in prayer. Okay, so quick introduction on just some basic concepts of spiritual warfare, and we will continue more next time.